invite. My email said there were people here already, so we'll just wait a second. Close my curtains. So we're going to do some hip stuff today. And if you have a yoga block, you can grab a yoga block. We'll use it. If not, it's not the end of the world, but if you haven't, that would be good. And then at the end, we'll do some hip work with sliding. If you have a slippery floor, you can grab a towel or a folded blanket. If you're on carpet, your carpet may be just slippery enough, you may be able to slide on it fine. Or you could go grab like a paper plate and use that to slide on your carpet for our hip work at the end. But it should be fun. We're just gonna move for half an hour and really work on feeling that connection of our pelvic movement with our core support. So that's what we're going to start with, finding with our block. So you'll take your block and just put it between your thighs, okay? And you don't have to squeeze it like a vice grip, right? But you just have to you're just holding it there, using these, your adductor, your inner thigh muscles. You've got a chain, like a fascial chain, called your deep front line. It starts at your big toe and kind of spirals up through your inner leg, like those calf muscles closest to your bones. All these adductor muscles, that's inner thigh, and your psoas. And then your lower back, it goes all the way up through your tongue. Your tongue is the terminal point of this chain. But this is your deep core line that really stabilizes everything. So we're going to kind of be working with that as we move. So hold on to your block and stand at the top of your mat and just find some kind of hula hoop motions with your hips. So just kind of move your hips around while you've got that block in between your thighs and setting up your feet in a way that just feels natural and comfortable. And you can feel your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel really grounding on the floor. You can switch directions a few times, but just, right, you're not hinging at any point. You're just finding some even natural movement, and your whole body can get into this, but you're originating this just with moving at your pelvis. And go the other direction one last time. And then pause. I'm just going to turn to face you so you can see. You'll just reach your left arm up, and you can stretch that long, and then squeeze your right inner thigh into your block to find a side bend. But you're not hinging anywhere at your rib cage, you're not hinging at your waist, you're kind of pushing your right hip into the block, left hip out to the side to find your side bend. And then just come on up. And just notice the core strength that's needed to bring you back up. So we're just gonna lean back and forth while you've got that resistance and the feedback from your block. And this next time, find your side bend to your right and just start to float your right arm up alongside your ear and then down. And just see if you can feel that subtle engagement of those muscles on your left side. When you have this added load of one more arm, just feel everything turn on there. Let's do one more lift. Lower down, come all the way upright, and then just tuck your chin. We're going to roll ourselves down into a forward fold, one vertebrae at a time. Soften your knees, And then roll through your thoracic spine, through that rib cage spine, and then your middle. Let your knees be soft so that you can let your spine just round one vertebrae at a time. Eventually, your pelvis will fold forward. You can keep your knees bent as much as you need to and just let yourself come down. You can sway from side to side a little bit. Just notice what it feels like to have this forward fold with the block between your legs, with that feedback on your inner thighs and that deep core engagement. And then soften your knees enough that you can just get your block out of the way. And set it over to the left side of your mat. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And then step your left foot back into a lunge. Bring your left knee down and just find some hula hoop movements here with your hips. One direction and then the other. And then bend and straighten that front leg. You can walk your hands back as much as you need to. You can play with pointing and flexing your right foot. Next, have your knees bent. And come upright. You can reach your arms high. But kind of back out of your lunge so you're not in your deepest lunge. Just be in a place where you're really stable. Your back toes can be tucked or untucked. Either way is fine. We're going to focus on the psoas here. You'll take your left arm and kind of wrap it around in front of you and then hook it with your right forearm and push your left forearm into your right forearm. And you might notice a brightening here of this psoas muscle and the front of that left hip. So just find that support and engagement there. Release your right hand down, lift your left arm up alongside your ear and side bend over to your right. But keep that engagement through your psoas on. And then just sweep that left arm out to the side and then around again. Find your resistance, turn that muscle on. So you've got a little bit of a contraction. As you lengthen, reach your left arm up and side bend over to the right. We'll do that one more time. Lift up, find your side bend, and then you can float your right arm up and down here. And just find that little bit more load in your side bend. And then release. Release both of your arms. Make sure, just untuck your back toes. We'll toe heel your right foot in line with your left knee to find your tandem kneel, like you're on a tightrope or a slack line. Notice what things need to turn on to hold your balance. And then pivot on your left knee to face the long edge of your mat. So you'll kind of turn to the left, and you've got your right heel in line with your left knee. And you can adjust the distance of your foot from your knee and just start to play here with these adductor muscles. So we were squeezing them together. Now you can kind of stretch and open. And use the muscles on your leg to kind of pull you into that bent knee and then push into your heel. Let's just do a couple more there. And now turn your right toes forward, lengthen that right leg. Bring your right hand to your right thigh. Lift your left arm up. And here we are at our side bend again. See if you can find the support of those deep core muscles in the front of your left hip as you side bend to your right. And then float your right arm up. And lower it down. Come all the way up. Bring your left fingertips or hand all the way to the floor. And reach your right arm up. And then float your right leg up off the floor. Maybe draw some circles. One direction and the other. And then lower that right foot down. Bring your right hand, and we're just coming into a table. Let yourself find some circles here. Let go of any rigidity or tension that you've created. And we're going to play with hinging now at our hips, really hinging just right at your hip crease. So you can grab your block if you have it and just balance it on your sacrum. And you're not going to let your block fall. Use your hamstring muscles to pull your hips toward your heels. Okay, keep your lower ribs softened in, but you're going to have to find a little bit of anterior tilt of your pelvis to bring your hips back towards your heels and just kind of go back and forth there. So use those deep muscles to find that deep hip flexion as you draw your hips toward your heels. Let's do one more. And then you can take your block off. We'll add to that a little bit. So I'm just putting it kind of toward the other end of my mat. So keep that hip hinged as you draw your hips towards your heels. And now tuck your tailbone under, round your spine, and push yourself back into your table. And that deep hip crease as you push your hips towards your heels. And then tuck your tailbone and come. Now, if this is a lot of work on your lower back, don't bring your hips back so far. You can just do it from right there, right? But we're really working those deep hip flexor muscles. Do one more with your hands and knees down. And then walk your hands back towards your knees and come upright. I think we did this on Monday. We're gonna do it, or Tuesday, sorry, we're gonna do it again. Finding that same hip hinge. So you're hinging right at your hip crease. Then tuck your tailbone under to come upright. Hinge at your hip crease. And then tuck your tailbone under to come all the way upright. And if it feels okay in your lower back, you can bring your hips back further. But really, right, we're working that psoas muscle, which connects to all your lumbar vertebrae and one of your lower rib vertebrae. And then connects to your inner thigh. Let's do one more. So you don't have to go deep there. And then tuck your toes. Sit back on your feet. Open your arms wide. Give yourself a hug. Right elbow underneath, left elbow on top. And stay here or wrap into eagle arms. And just breathe and pause. You can move your arms around a little bit. Smile into the bottoms of your feet. And release your arms. Bring your hands to the floor. Toes are tucked. Just float your knees up off the floor. So feel that core strength. We're just going to crawl up toward the top of our mat till our feet get all the way to the top of your mat. So step your right hand forward and then your left knee toward your left wrist. And then left hand forward, right knee. And keep going. You'll probably go off your mat just so that your feet come to the top of your mat. And when your feet are there, walk your hands back. Make your way into a standing forward fold. Grab a hold of your block and roll yourself up to standing. And then just bring that block in between your inner thighs. Find your hula hoops here, just one way and then the other. And then pause, reach your right arm up this time. And then you're just going to push your left inner thigh into the block to side bend over to your left. And then back upright. So you're not hinging or really pushing, forcing into the side bend. Right? It's just one even arc. You feel the connection of your feet to the floor. And just enjoy the feedback of having that block between your thighs and what happens in that deep low belly. Next time you come into your side bend, just reach your left arm up alongside your ear, and then you can float it down. And just notice the subtle brightening of these muscles as you add a little more load. Go ahead, come all the way up. This time we'll try to fold with a hinge. But I want you to still engage your hamstrings. So your hamstrings are gonna work. Soften your knees as much as you need to, and then hinge at your hips, just like we did when we were on our hands and knees. So hinge at your hips to fold down, but almost feel like you're pulling your heels back so that your hamstrings are working as you fold. You can take a breath there, and then soften your knees enough that you can get your block out of the way. Take a breath in and step your right foot back into your lunge, and then right knee down. Come on upright and reach your arms high. I'm just gonna focus on the other psoas. So bring your right arm across you and resist your right forearm into your left forearm. So you're gonna hook that left forearm over. And when you push your right forearm in, just see if you can notice the turning on of that hip flexor muscle. And then drop your left arm, find your side bend, right arm alongside your ear, side bend to your left. And then you can just sweep your way out of it. Sweep that arm around in front of you, find the resistance. And then side bend. And then out. Arm around in front of you, find that resistance. And then your side bend. You can hold in your side bend this time. And then just float that left arm up and down. Just one more float there. And then release your arms. Untuck your back toes if they're tucked. Toe heel your left foot in line with your right knee. So here you're on your slack line. And just notice, see what happens if you push into your big toe and push your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And we'll pivot on the right knee. And you can adjust where your left foot is, but just kind of lean into those left inner thigh muscles. But find some activity there. So like you're pulling that left heel in and then pushing it away. You can do whatever you want with your arms. If you feel like you want to do something fancy, you can. And come on up, turn your left toes forward, lengthen through that left leg, left hand on your left thigh, and we'll find that side bend again. So see if first you can find that brightening of your psoas muscle, turn it on, find that support, and then you'll lean over. Maybe float your left arm up. And then come all the way up. Right fingertips or hand to the floor. And then float your left leg up. Circles, one direction, and then the other. Foot down, hands down. And find your table. You can do it with your block. Again, just maybe 2 or 3 times to find your hip hinge. Without making, you could even this time maybe do it on a higher height. So you've got a little bit more precarious balance. And then we'll add in that tailbone tuck. So you can take your block off, hips towards your heels, any amount, and then tuck your tailbone under and push yourself back up to your table. So you couldn't just come this far. Whatever you do, right, you're going to be using those muscles and getting into that deep core support. So your hips don't have to come back far. You just do what feels good in your lower back. And then we'll do that in a standing kneel. Hip hinge back any amount, tuck your tailbone down, and then come up right. So hip hinge back, and then tuck your tailbone and just push your thighs forward. Let's do one more. And then tuck your toes. Sit back, right elbow underneath this time, give yourself a hug. And then just wrap into your eagle arms and bring your right fingertips into your left palm. Move a little bit. And then release. Hands to the floor, float your knees up off the floor, and then just alternate hand and foot. So right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. Just crawl your way all the way to the top of your mat. Your feet all the way to the top of your mat. And then you can find your standing forward fold. Just find a halfway lift from here. Exhale to fold. And then step your left foot back. Round your left foot. Push down into your right heel and we'll just open up into warrior two. So lift yourself up into your warrior two and then straighten that right leg. Draw your right outer hip back. And then pour yourself over into a triangle. Reach your left arm up. Now really push into your right big toe ball mound. Sorry. And feel the engagement of your glute there. Let your left arm go alongside your ear and then just float your right arm up. And you can do it in pulses or you can just hold it and come all the way upright. Parallel your feet, heels and toes out. Just sit into a goddess and sway a little bit from side to side. Straighten your legs. Turn your right toes forward and soften into that right knee. Take your left foot, slide it in, and just bring it behind your right. So you're in a little bit of a twist here. So bend into that right knee and then float your left foot up off the floor. You can kind of jet that right hip out to the side as you twist to your right. And then push into your right foot to bring your right leg towards straight. Lift your left knee and twist toward that left knee. And just soften into your right knee. Like that. Twist to your left. And push into your right heel as you lift your left knee. So just go back and forth here. You're really working the outside of that standing leg hip. Using that core strength. Do one more. Come all the way upright. And you can cross that left leg over your right for an eagle. And then left arm goes underneath. You can give yourself a hug. Or wind. Take one more breath there. And then just kind of spread eagle, open yourself out. Step wide. Parallel feet, soft knees. Hinge at your hips to fold. You can bring your fingertips to the floor and sway your hips from side to side. And then just walk your hands over to your left. Turn your left toes to the left. Set up for your warrior two on the other side and just make your way up to your warrior two. That left knee bent. Let yourself be able to move your pelvis. Straighten that left leg. Push into your left big toe ball mount. Engage that left glute. Reach forward and find your triangle. Just feel the connection of both of your feet into the floor. Lengthen out through the crown of your head. And you can bring your right arm alongside your ear. Float and lower. And just do that a few times. Maybe hold it. And then you can bend into your knee, come all the way upright. Release your arms, heels and toes out. Find your goddess. You can sway it. Come upright. Left toes to point straight forward. Slide that right foot back behind your left. And float your right toes up off the floor and twist to your left. Soften into that left knee. And then as you push into your left foot, straighten your left leg, lift your right knee and twist. So just go back and forth here. So that work is happening in these adductors. You're engaging through your hip flexors on that right leg. Next time that right knee comes up, you can soften into your left knee, cross that right leg all the way over your left. And your right arm is the wrapper. It goes underneath. You can give yourself a hug or fingers into palm. Take one more breath there. And then unwind yourself, spread eagle, step wide. Parallel feet and find your forward fold. Any amount and let your knees bend and you can sway. And we'll make our way down into a table and find your slider if you have it. Okay. So I'm going to have my left knee on my sticky mat and my right knee on my blanket here. So you could have your right knee on your paper plate or your right knee just on a carpet if you're in carpet and it's slippery. Okay. We'll just slide the right leg out and then slide it back in. Use those adductors to bring it back in. And slide it out and bring it back in. And then we'll slide it out and just pause here. You don't have to come down very far. Now look at your feet and just see that your ankles are in line with your knees and your feet are flexed. And then you can kind of gently push your hips back towards your heels and rock forward. You can be up on your hands. You can have your forearms on the floor. And find that resistance of pushing your knees into the floor here. If you're down on your forearms, come back up onto your hands. Use that strength to slide your right knee in. So you come back to a table and then lengthen your right leg back behind you, cross it behind your left and bring your right knee to the floor and just push your hips, walk your hands back, push your hips toward the floor. So we're in Gomukhasana. You can have your left foot just flat on the floor so you're more in a Ardha Matsyendrasana twist, or you can have your knees stacked. And just breathe there. Your knees are stacked, you can fold. If your knee is high, you can twist. And then we've got to do the other side. So just bring your hands to your right on the floor and just unwind yourself into table the other direction and find your knee on your slider. And we'll just slide out and in. Just walk your hands to the place they need to be. And slide out and slide in. And the next time you come out, you can hold it there. So it doesn't have to go far, right? And find some pressure of your inner knees into the floor and flex through your feet. Your ankles are in line with your knees. And then you can kind of push your hips back and forward, just kind of rocking here. So you can have hands on the floor, forearms on the floor. Sorry, I'm kind of out of the picture, but just let yourself just move. You don't need to be static anywhere or rigid. Feel some resistance of your knees pushing into the floor. So you're using your muscular strength to support you. You're not just hanging into your joints. And then come back up onto your hands. Use that muscular strength to drag that left knee in. And then lengthen your left leg back. Bend your knee behind your right and plant it. Walk your hands towards your knees to sit back. And you can find your Ardha Matsyendrasana twist. Just have that right foot to the floor and twist to your left. Just hold on to that knee. Or you can stack your knees and then find any amount of a forward fold. Right, just listen to what feels available to your hips and your lower back, right? One is not better than the other, they're different. And then go ahead and come back up. You can lean back to uncross your legs. And then we're just going to walk our way. So just kind of chugga choo choo. Just scoot one hip point and then the other till your bum comes all the way to the middle of your mat. Feel that core strength that's needed to walk you there. And then soften your knees. You can hold on to the backs of your thighs or just float your arms. And see if you can make your way down to your back one vertebrae at a time. So feel your sacrum and then notice your lower back vertebrae. See if you can do them one vertebrae at a time. Notice how much belly that takes. And then come all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. You can make some circles with your knees one way and then the other. And then feet to the floor. And just hop your hips, just push into your feet, lift your hips and just shimmy your hips over to the left and then drop your knees to the right. You're gonna bring your right hand on top of your left knee, left arm out, just find an easy twist here. And you can even bring your right hand into your left hip crease and kind of push it away from you. So you're really kind of lengthening through that hip flexor area. So just, you can bring your thumb in there, kind of massage deep in that hip flexor area, but push the top of your femur bone away. And then we'll just switch sides. So you've got your feet on the floor. Just lift your hips and shimmy them over to the right. And then drop your knees to the left. Right arm out, and then you can find that same traction of pushing your right thigh away from you with your left hand. You can bring your, really bring your thumb and forefinger into your hip crease there, or just your palm push. And it doesn't need to feel intense, right? You're just creating some space. So you don't need to even do it in a really rigid way. Make sure you can really breathe and relax. But you're just creating a little bit of traction. And then release that. Come back onto your back. And find any last things you need. I think a bridge pose would be good. You can think of pushing your knees forward to lift your hips. And just find that space in the fronts of your hip creases. And then to come down, just let your sacrum kind of feel like a leaf that's floating toward the floor. So let your pelvis kind of sway from side to side. So you're coming down in a really fluid way. And then relax. Lengthen your legs out on the floor. And let your palms face up. Take a big, deep, conscious breath in. And then exhale through your mouth. Do that one more time. Inhale. Take another sip of an inhale. And then Relax and release all effort. Just let your breath breathe itself. Really make a conscious effort to completely let go with your next breath. And then let yourself stay here for as long as you have time. If you need to get on with your day, you can bend your knees, roll to your favorite side, use your arms to push you up to a seat. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Thank you, friends, for practicing with me today. Namaste.